Hi, this is Alvaro Sousa, developer of WarPlan and WarPlan Pacific. The beta testers asked me to put together a tutorial video on what will be the opening moves of the Axis to make sure you maximize what you take. Now, perhaps this isn't perfect, but it is a good guide to know what to take on the first turn. And as the Japanese, your most important resource is oil, of course. So we're going to be focusing on that. So I'm going to go down in order of lists, which is port strikes, naval blockade, and then invasions. So let's get to the fun part, which is Pearl Harbor. I increased my attack display so you guys can see some of the cool features. Pearl Harbor we have set up to where Hawaii has the maximum amount of detection, so that way Pearl Harbor succeeds automatically, even though you literally have no vision over here. As you know, in the new rules, any port 5 or higher can't be attacked directly by ships, so these subs are just here for aesthetics. So as it's already set up, you have your strike force over here of individual capital ships, which include the historical forces. They all have one supply for a very specific reason. The next turn, you're going to be forced to go away. You can't port strike them again and have a chance at a second lucky shot. We add a new thing, as you can see on the side, that when units are sunk, a little icon appears on the side showing that they're sunk, and you can see this in the combat reports. We did not get a lucky hit over here. We only sank 2 units. We got 2 sinks and 2 bottoms, so this is done. The next port strike area that you want to do, and you could do this in different ways also, you could do this to hit the airfields, which do have a chance to hit ships coming in, or the ships itself. I like hitting ships. It's fun sinking stuff. So I use these airplanes to nail all the ships that are in Manila, hoping I can sink one. The next area I like to sink ships with is Singapore. Since we can't replicate the British Empire's 2 battleships getting sunk over here, because no human player would do that foolishness, we are going to do it in a sense of that you can airstrike them. Nope, we got one. And you have a total potential of 2.5 planes that you can use. So you can move this one forward, or you can move this one over here. So 1 operation point, and then bomb it again. And then you can see, take a look at what we had with these naval airstrikes. So we did some damage to the repulse. We sunk the Prince of Wales. Sunk the Houston. Did some damage to some other ships. So those are all your naval airstrikes. Now these are done. Let's go around invading spots. So we have 2 forces over here. Now you don't have to do this, but it's just recommended. I like taking this force, invading Tarawa. One of the new rules allows Marines to walk across these islands like this. These small islands are basically a 1 hex landmass, and they come with beaches all the time. That way you know exactly where to invade, because putting like a corner like this doesn't look really pretty on a small island. So I designed these over here, which are invasion hexes, to let you know where you can invade to invade small islands. Marines can march across them like so. Other land units cannot. This force is going to go to Wake Island. One feature we introduced here for supply is that on a small island, like all these groups, 1 naval group can block the port from supply. That means they can't get supply, can't transport out, and can't transport in. They're stuck until the opposing side kills that unit. So we're going to land here and try to take out this force. Okay, so I did. So even though if I didn't, and this guy was still there, I could supply my unit over here with this guy the next turn and also block the port. So eventually he'll go down and I can keep attacking if I want, or just simply wait and just keep resupplying them up. So those are those 2 ports. Okay, Guam already has, what are we looking at over here? Guam has a unit pretty much near to it. The same thing, I can land on the beach or the island and then move up. This unit in your truck. Didn't miss anybody. I sent to Rabul. Forgive me if I mispronounce some of these locations. Usually you can knock him out. If you can send other support ships down here to help him out, block the port, but usually that works. Okay, so now you have this force. So you don't need all these ships, but I send them anyways just to be sure, just in case that happens. I land this guy here to take this port. You can easily use him to land and lay and use these 3 ships to block this port too. But that means that this division might escape. This American division. On this side, this is this Marine force. This army, that's the one I'm looking for. I move him over here, and I land him in Apari. And I move him up exactly 1 hex. Now Apari is open for next turn, so I could transport units inside. I take these 3 groups. And you can take smaller groups too. I block Manila. I take these 2 destroyer groups. I block Lingayen. But since these are both landlocked ports, unlike the small islands, which require only 1 ship to block them, the landlocked ports require 3 naval groups, 3 ships, 3 naval groups to block them. So I'll grab the small destroyer squadron, move over here. So now Lingayen is blocked and Manila is blocked. Manila is not a main supply source. So this will stop all supply in here, and these guys will slowly run out of supply. Next important thing to do is to take this northern half of Borneo. This is controlled by the United Kingdom. This is controlled by the Netherlands East Indies. Once Netherlands East Indies surrenders, this becomes yours, but this does not. So, I land this guy here, move him up, and move him south. You could also land him here. You want to take all these areas right here. That way you get this oil, and get this port. You take the next guy, mixed brigade, land him in this area, and then you move him to the port. Now you take out both these ports. Eventually this will all go yours, and I would pretty much move up to change control as soon as possible. But now you can get this oil and this oil and this oil the next turn. This person, or this group, I take over here and invade Surabaya. That way I have this port in hand so I can transport troops inside. You want to take this on the first turn because you don't know what the weather will be like next turn, and you might have a harder time invading. This is the group that's going to invade Singapore. So I land this army and I move toward the port to take it. And now this DOC blocks these guys from coming down. There's one more transport fleet over here, which goes here, which blocks these guys from escaping. Now there's only this port over here that you can block with ships, or you can just land the rest of your guys and physically take it and move more down. For the Philippines, you have a Philippine HQ and 2 armies and a paratrooper if you want to move in there on the next turn to help you out on taking the island. This group over here, you want to move them up as fast as possible to take this oil resource in Burma before the Indian Army forms up and the British get a chance to send guys over there. Last but not least, some land attacks. You want to take Singapore, move your division in there. This guy's pretty strong. Chinese won't be able to take you out. Here you're going to have to watch because the Chinese do have quite a few forces to try to attack this and move you off this position. It isn't really of strategic importance, but you don't want to get overwhelmed in this scenario, in this area. Changsha is worse in points, so you might want to set an offensive early on just to take the city and hold it. You do want to keep this garrison up here versus the Soviets. It's detailed in the game notes. on the garrison that you need to be required to keep the Soviets from attacking you. And this pretty much sums up the first turn. Next turn, you will want to somehow land over here with another group of units, perhaps use a truck one, and transport a guy from here to here to cover that force. You move into those islands. If you want, you could not move this guy and take those islands and try to take some of these smaller ones, or maybe go for Johnson Island or Midway. But you have a lot of options open to you. The Allies can't do really much for the first several turns and give you free reign, except for move troops around. As the Allies, you want to get rid of these boats out of this area before you get sunk some more. Now, some might be bottomed out. So this covers the opening moves for the Axis, which involved striking Pearl Harbor, striking Manila, striking Singapore, doing all the required invasions to cover all the locations that are important to take, especially Rabaul, which is a major port, and start attacking on Singapore, take Wake Island, take Guam, take the Gilberts. I hope this has been helpful to you.